Hey there guys, what's going on? Gale right here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Memoria Freeze video. And today's video is the tier list for the fire magical units. Now, of course, if you haven't checked out the last video where we looked at the fire physical units and tier listed them, please be sure to go check it out. I rank every single unit in the game. Basically, that's a fire physical unit. That's a 4-star specifically. And you guys get an idea on exactly how the system works, what I'm ranking on the basis of, and stuff like that. Please be sure to check out that video. And of course, if you guys want to enjoy this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content and upcoming tier lists as well. And speaking of upcoming tier lists, comment down below what element should I do next. I know some people said water in the previous video, so if you guys want to get your word in, put it in the comment section down below. Now, of course, Fire Magical has had some insane units in the past, some meta-defining units in the past. But of course, just like Fire Physical, Fire Magical has been very hit or miss in all honesty in recent years. And of course, I think that I'm hoping that, you know, that changes in the coming months as well, because I'm a huge fan of the fire element. I remember, I think from the 1st anniversary onwards till like I think the 4th anniversary, my teams would be all fire based, right? So yeah, I think fire is a fantastic element in Danmachi. It's just not gotten a lot of love in the last year or two. But without further ado, let's tackle each and every single unit in here and go over them, shall we? So we'll start off with the bell on the top left. And this is Freese Bell Crenel. Now, you can already notice that there's one problem with this unit. He can't hero ascend. You cannot hero ascend this unit. There are some characters in this game that you cannot hero ascend at all, and this is one of them, unfortunately. So I mean, I have no other way to say it, but he goes straight into D. Obviously we have a ranking system. We go D, C, B, A, S, and S is of course meta unit. You can use them anywhere, everywhere. They'll be phenomenal. A is definitely very usable, very much replaceable, and can replace the S rank units, but they're not still there. They're not the meta defining units, right? B and C are somewhat usable, but you could probably easily replace them with modern day units. And then D is just, you cannot run these units any longer. They are impossible to run. And this guy would go into that category. D rank very easily. This guy does not have the right modifiers. I mean, for the most part, he's pretty decent in his speed, but this is again a 6-year-old unit. This guy came out back in 2017. He's one of the first original units to come out, so it makes sense as to why he's so weak and why he doesn't have a hero ascension, and he's time limited as well. So even more of a reason as to why I guess they just forgot about him, quite literally speaking. I mean, look at his agility, his magic. Like, you look at some units these days, they have like 2,000 plus. He's 800 off of those units. So to me, this guy's an easy D. Now we move on to the next time limited Brel Crenel, the White Rabbit. And yet again, this guy has no hero ascension. I feel like a lot of the early units in 2017 just haven't been given a hero ascension. Now, I don't know what they're waiting for necessarily, or they're just ignoring them because they know that nobody's going to use them nowadays, unless they buff them, of course. So it makes sense, I guess, as to why they don't have, you know, hero ascension. But again, he has got the same issue as the Freese Bell. No hero ascension means very low stats, and he's gonna be incomparable compared to modern day units. You cannot run this dude. So again, another D. And the reason why he's got fire as well, I know a lot of people notice he's also light. It's because his 3rd skill has fire. That's why he's also in fire physical. But yeah, it's a little bit weird. Or like fire magic, sorry, I should say fire magic. But yeah, he's an easy D rank unit, so unfortunate. Now we move on to this bell. Now this bell, in my opinion, this guy was insane. This guy was the start of my fire magic team, and I'll come on to some other units that made up this insane fire magic team that we used to have. Like, it was ridiculously good. He has some decent stats for the time, right? 1700 magic. Obviously modern day, he's a little bit dated, of course, but he did a lot of stuff. He gave himself 75% fire attack damage. He gives himself 60% magic as well. Back then, this was an insane combination. Obviously, back then, like I said, you didn't have like multiple buffs on one single skill, or multiple buffs even, generally speaking, to be honest. You'd always have one single buff, and then this guy comes in, gives himself 75% fire attack damage, then gives himself 60% magic, and then does the ultra and counter rate foes AoE high fire attack on his third skill. It was really strong. Obviously, there were still some issues with him because, of course, being a magic unit, he was slower than a lot of physical units at the time. And, of course, he would require 3 turns to get his maximum damage outright. But that doesn't change the fact that he was still phenomenal, man. He was still so good back then. And he went really well with another fire magic unit, which we'll tackle in just a moment. But very strong unit. Again, I probably wouldn't put him any higher than... I'll put him in D, unfortunately. I think he's just dated now. He's very much dated. He doesn't have any additional attacks. His buffs are on 2 different skills. It's just not good enough, I think. And that's another issue. He doesn't have killer. I have to put him in D just because of how dated he is. That's about it. It's just unfortunate. I think a lot of units between 2017 to 2018 are going to be in D just purely because they are the shift in the meta that came when the 2nd anniversary hit is just massive, right? So I think I'd put him in D nonetheless. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now we move on to the next bell, Ready for Act Bell. Another time limited bell. A lot of time limited fire magic bells, to be honest. All right. So this guy is a single target unit. He gives himself self magic and fire attack damage plus 40% on 4 turns. Then he increases allies P-res and M-res, and then he decreases the enemy's P-res, M-res, and fire res by 20% for 4 turns. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of the fire physical eyes we saw yesterday, the pop star eyes, right? Very similar unit as well here. But again, I think the modifiers themselves aren't great. I think I put that eyes in B. This guy, the modifiers is very bad. The buffs he's giving isn't phenomenal. It's not like 25%, 30% P-res and M-res, nor is it 30% P-res, M-res, fire res. And yeah, and he gives himself only the fire and magic attack damage, which isn't that great. It should have been allies. If it was allies, fair enough. This is also not bad, giving the enemy single target attack damage boost by 20% as well. That's really solid. But he does get 25% when he's equipped with a large sword as well, which is very interesting. I think this was one of the rare times we got something like this as a passive where he gets a stats boost if he's given that. But even then, if you look at this, I mean, oh wait, is he a free-to-play unit? I actually don't remember if he's a free-to-play unit. Let me check if I have him, actually. Let me see. Quick diversion. I need to actually check this. Fire magic, right? Let's see. Oh yeah, he is a free-to-play unit. There's no way I would have had him otherwise. 100% he's free to play. Okay, makes sense. Okay, for a free to play unit, that's not bad. Okay, that's not bad at all. I didn't remember if he was a free to play unit or not, so I was a little bit confused, but it does seem like he is a free to play unit. That being said, though, I will still probably put him in C. Honestly, I think I'd put him in C. He's still there, usable, but not crazily usable. Actually, you know what, I can probably check it this way. Obviously we can, for those of you who don't know, you can exchange event tickets, right, for event units right here, for example. So let's see, it was a Ready for Act Bell. There he is. So it's a free-to-play unit. I can't be too harsh on him. I was gonna say maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on him when he's doing something extremely similar to that eyes, right? But I think a C rank is fair enough. His stats are pretty low. You really want to give him Hakugen or Hestia knife, but because of that passive to give himself 25%, you're kind of pushed into using a large sword, which doesn't make sense because he uses daggers otherwise, right? So there you go. But I'll put him in C. I'll put this bell in C. He's still decent. Nothing too crazy, though. Nothing too crazy whatsoever. Alright, we move to the next unit. Blazing Freeze Bell. This is from the 4th anniversary. And this guy goes well with this Crozer specifically. And he's still used in war games. Mind you, this bell and wealth are still used in war games. He gives himself magic and fire attack damage plus 70% and additional actions with mid-fire magic attack. Fast high fire magic attack with temporary magic boost and high critical rate with god rate down minus 50% for 2 turns, and gives himself critical rate and penetration rate 40%. Very strong abilities right here. That being said though, I will still say this. It's not amazing. He's a magic unit. that means he'll go slow, of course, unless you give him a lot of agility through other units and stuff, right? And if you look at this Crozo just quickly, of course, he does a lot more for the team than anything else. I think this Bell, I'm gonna give a B. I think I'm gonna give a B. He's usable, but he's not insane, I would say. He's not insane. I think he needed a little bit more here potentially to give him that little bit of a boost. And the problem is, again, I think it's come down to the fact that there have been so many more units that I feel like potentially he's kind of been pushed aside, right? And I think that's the biggest issue. Maybe I would push him to maybe low A, but we'll see. Maybe I'll put again, I like yesterday, I'll probably put like 2 ranks, like saying, oh, this is where he would be generally speaking. And he has a killer as well. I'd say B to A. I'd say high B, low A, maybe for this guy. That seems fair. That does seem fair. Completely fair. Now we have this Infinite Firebolt Bell Crenel. I think this dude is he is a April Fool's unit, but he's actually not that bad, you know. If you look at this, I mean, he gives himself buffs that are exactly the same on 2 different skills and 341 MP. I mean, he seems like a funny unit, and he is a funny unit. I'd probably go C. I'd probably still put him as C just because, like, yes, it's memes and all, but I mean, there's not much here. Like, come on, he removes magic and fire attack damage buffs on self. He's got a skill that takes 341 MP. I mean, maybe D. Let's just put him in D, on all honesty. I'm being too kind to this Infinite Firebolt Bell. D. I'm sorry. I can't help it, bro. I cannot help it. Alright? New adventure Bell Crenel. This is the bell we got from the anime gacha, the first anime gacha we got this year. 2000 magic, agility 1200, very solid. I think everybody got a free copy of this unit as well, which is very, very nice, right? So, this Bell Crenel is obviously AoE. He gives himself magic and fire attack damage on his special arts. He gives himself 20% boost in damage per magic and agility buff skill. Very cool there. So, he reduces the opponent's strength, magic, and magic res minus 40%, plus gives himself 70% for magic for 4 turns. Gives allies P-res and M-res 45% and single target damage received minus 45% along with HP regen, and then gives himself agility, fire attack damage plus 70% and 3 actions of mid-fire magic attack. Now this guy is actually pretty decent, I would say, on a lot of magic teams, because you can give him, he gives the P-res and M-res, which means he's going to be able to give support and allow the magic units to survive when you're setting up all the shenanigans. And because this is a buff ability, there's no damage being dealt here, that means he's gonna go first no matter what. The thing is, the way the priority system works when it comes to Danmachi's PvP and PvE is that buffs will always go first, buffs, debuffs, only buffs and debuffs. If there's no damage being dealt, those go first, then physical attacks, and then magic attacks, assuming, you know, everything is stagnant, everything is basic, everything is, you know, agilities are the same and everything. But of course, because of that, this means Hurt's Embrace will go first. So that's really, really handy, of course, and it comes in clutch. Honestly, this guy would have been insane if it was attack type AoE minus 45%. Honestly, would have been nuts. But that being said, he's still very solid. He gives the team a lot of support here, and in terms of, you know, making sure the team survives, you know, with the P-res, M-res, the reduction in strength and magic on his main ability as well, his main damage dealing ability. I think this guy's an A. I think I'd give him an A. He's still solid, he's modern, he's good, he's usable, and that's the main important thing. And I think while he isn't meta defining, he is going to still help the team tremendously because of his abilities. I'd say an A is a very solid place to place him. Now we move on to the Ises, and we move on to the first Eyes. Wait a second, I didn't filter out the 3 stars. 1 second here. We need to filter out the 3 stars. There we go. So we move on to the Eyes next. We move on to this Eyes, Crimson Tempest Eyes, and this Eyes back in the day, alongside that bell and the Lilyruka that came out with that bell, insane combination, insane. And I think this Eyes was the first time we were seeing 9,000 damage, 8,000 damage, you know, around there in PvP. Like, obviously nowadays we can see like 20,000s, 19,000s, even more potentially, right? But back then, seeing the 9,000s and potentially even hitting 10,000 was ridiculous. In all honesty, it was insane. And the way it worked was basically and the reason why was because you would basically get more damage for each MRes reduction skill. And this was one of the first times we had this sort of skill as well, where her damage goes up based on the skills implemented on the enemy or herself. And here, of course, it was based on MRes down. And of course, because she did Carmine Blaze and then she would do Blast of Pain, insane amounts of damage. And then you would put an assist that also reduces magic res, and that's where we started to understand how that sort of worked. Like, the assist skills actually influenced it, and insane. But in the modern day, she doesn't really do much, unfortunately. Like I said, she was insane. She was the reason why I ever got to Hero 2. I've never got to Hero 2 since then, and I've never been in the top 50 PvP rankings, but it's because of this unit I managed to get into the top 50 of PvP. So for me, I would probably say this unit is, nowadays I would probably put her in D, in all honesty. But back then, insane unit, man, insane. She was in a class of her own. But it's just a shame, things change drastically, you know. When the kits get revamped so much so that, you know, these units get phased out, it feels a little bit sad, but that's how it is. But D nonetheless. I'll say I'll give her the D. Not like that. Not like that, all right? I don't want to hear it from you comments. All right, Gracious Princess Eyes, M attack type, of course. I mean, we're looking at magic units, of course it's gonna be that. 1978 magic, agility is 1000. That's a bit low, but let's look at this. Damage received, attack type, all targets minus 30%, self magic and fire attack damage plus 60% for 3 turns and 3 actions of low fire magic attack. And then she gives MRes down minus 35%. And she's got some a good third skill as well for, you know, single target phases. But I would probably still put her in B just because of the modifiers being super low, right? There's not much happening, especially in Cardinal Fan, which is her main damage dealing skill. She's also got a low fire, you know, additional action, which is a low modifier. I would probably say, I mean, her special arts is decent as well. I think I would put her in B. She's very easily replaceable. She is usable though. She's gonna give the your allies survivability in a lot of game modes as well. She's giving herself decent buffs as well. She's got the additional actions. She's got the MRes down, but it's not enough. Maybe if she gave fire res here, maybe if this was a medium, maybe if she did something else here, maybe like god ray down or something like that, I think maybe then she could have easily been still an A unit. And not to mention, her stats are also lower, right? Her stats are definitely lower than most units nowadays. So there is that as well. But overall, this is still not a bad unit. A B is a solid place to be at for this unit, in all honesty. All right, we move on to the next units. This is a very old Lafia, Incantation Lafia. Nobody wants this unit, to be honest. Let's be real. She has a hero ascension, and yet she's basically comparable to the first 2 builds we saw at the start of this video. And she has such a weird rotation. She has fire, light, and water damage on her. Like, no, D. It's a solid D, because she gives MRes down, which is nice, but then light res down, but her special arts is water, so it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. This unit is very weird. She's definitely one of the older units. We know this as well. So yeah, a D rank unit. There you go. Now this is Bashful Elf Lafia Viridis, and this is another unit that doesn't have a hero ascension. So she's stuck at 1300, and all she's got going for her is 15% seal. D, easily. No question. Now we move on to the next anniversary, first anniversary unit we've gotten. Of course, we had the other first anniversary unit in Bel Crenel, Heroic Succession, in the Fire Physical video. But now we have Elf's Honor Lafia. 75% magic, temporary magic boost, magic resist minus 10%. Very similar to the Bell, and I have to admit, another D rank unit, honestly. Unfortunate. It's just she's so dated. She is so dated. Her stats also can show the same as well. 1700 magic, 800 agility, and then those buffs she gives herself and the debuffs, not good enough in the modern day. So unfortunately, has to go into D. So there you have it. Now we have this Lafia. Now this Lafia, alongside the Filvis that we're gonna look at, were part of the Popstar collaboration. And just like the eyes, I think if these guys get buffs, they will be so good, because they this Lafia, first and foremost, we'll tackle this Lafia and then we'll talk about the Filbus when we get to her. She gives allies magic, agility, and fire attack damage, which means you will be going faster as a result of it. At the time, it was insane. Another team that I used quite a lot of was this Philvis, or this Lafia, and the Philvis we're going to look at in a moment. Honestly, so good. She also has taunt on her single target, not that great, but her second skill has 30% chance to taunt, which is actually kind of nice, especially if you are able to get that proc to happen as well, right? So very solid unit. Again, a little bit dated. I'd probably put her into B. She's still usable though. In game modes like Familiar Rush and stuff, I could still use her to try and deal as much damage as possible when the weaknesses is fire and magic, and there's also insect killer, right? So I have to put her in B at the very least. I think C is a little bit too harsh, because the moment she gets a buff, she can shoot up straight into A or S in my personal opinion. But I think for now, B is a solid place to be at for this unit. Alright, we move on to this Lafia now, Delusional Elf Lafia. I think this is the part of the manga run, if I'm not mistaken, the manga event that we had. 1150 agility, 2000 magic, pretty solid stats there. AoE, okay, good. Status debuff plus 3 turns, very nice there. Critical rate and fire attack damage plus 70% for 1 turn, a little bit on that. Now, her lovely shine ability, STR magic and seal res minus 40%, and then gives herself magic agility, physical res, and M res plus 60% for 4 turns, and then low fire magic attack foes and 30% seal. Ooh, that's not bad, that's not bad. And oh my god, what is this? Alright, then that's fair enough, I suppose. 150% damage with seal only. That's interesting. I would probably put her in B though, because I feel like I understand what they've gone for here. You want to use Lovely Shine and then use Lovely Flash, right? It works very well. It would be smooth, and you could probably run her on an ailment team. But the thing is, I feel like ailment teams are so stacked up now with so many modern day units like Valera. You've got Gross, you've got so many other units that are just better, I feel. So for me, I think this, and of course you got the new Mikoto as well and stuff like that. I'd probably put her in B. She's usable, but very easily replaceable. So yeah, B again for this Lafia, definitely. Alright, we move on to this Wolf Crozo, a monster for single target events, in all honesty, a monster for single target events. 1900 magic, 910 agility, nothing to worry about in that regards. But the beautiful thing that he did was he gave all allies SA gate charge gained by 33% and magic dexterity and fire attack damage plus 30%, gives all all enemies attack type, all and single targets plus 20%, and then gives HP regen on his third skill. Very solid unit. Also removes STR and magic buffs on his special arts. This guy is a solid B. I think he's still usable, and you could use him in, again, similar situations like I mentioned with the Popstar Lafia. When you're going into Familiar Rush, or you're going into a Wreck-It Buster, and you're going into a weakness-oriented one, this guy can actually come in handy, especially if you're running a full fire DPS team, basically, because he's got that HP regen, he's got the ability to give allies the SA gate charge, so he's doing a lot of the stuff you want in a Wreck-It Buster team. Obviously, you would want a unit that can extend debuffs and buffs as well to help the team out, but you can get that in the other fire units you will probably bring into the team. So this guy is still very solid in my opinion. A solid B. Usable, but dated. Now this guy, Crozo Fiery Soul. I'm actually curious about one thing. I'm gonna check it out in a second before we give him the full rank, but let's look at his kit first. So his first skill gives fast dexterity, agility, endurance 35%, and gives himself magic and fire attack damage. His Flaming Wings ability gives magic boost and fire res down minus 40% for 4 turns, and then 2 additional actions of removing magic resistance buffs on foes and low fire attack. This is the first skill that you should be looking out. Red Glittering Flame is ridiculously good for magic units because you want to try and get their agility up as high as possible, as fast as possible, and giving a unit like a unit this ability is insane. Now, one thing I want to look at before I go anywhere, and I want to just check it, I want to just see, is he in the top 25 most popular units? No, he isn't. Okay, I just wanted to double check and see where he would be placed. I think, in all honesty, I would probably place him in A, just because I feel like there are a couple of other units that are potentially better. That being said, I could be a little bit wrong. I see him a lot of times on magic teams. So in terms of magic teams, he could be a bit of a meta unit. But I don't know if it's just because maybe people don't have other options potentially that can take that spot, But also you could probably run, say for example, maybe people don't have the Noir Ryu, right? The Noir Elf Ryu, I think it is. I don't remember the name of the actual unit. What's the name of the Ryu? But the Ryu that gives agility buffs and debuffs on the enemy, right? So if that's the case, then maybe you'd run this guy, right? So I'd probably put him in A with the potential to be in S rank. I think that's where I would put him. He's very good though, because that agility boost is so nice, along with the endurance buff, making sure you survive, get that god rate chances up as well, and then he gives that fire res down. If it was magic res down, it would have been even better, to be quite honest, but it's still decent. I feel it's still decent. Now this Reveria is a single target Reveria. Came out with the Reveria Record Buster. I think when they were celebrating, like, oh, Record Buster gotcha, she came in. I think she came in with a fin, if I'm not mistaken. She came in with a fin, I think. Foe mid-fire magic attack and M-res and fire res down minus 30%, magic and fire attack damage plus 70%, and then status debuff 2 turns. Again, like I said, if you can run her with the wealth, right, very solid team you can make up here, honestly. I'd probably put her in B though. I'd probably put her up in B just because her stats a little bit low for my liking personally. I think 2100, 2200, that's where it should be nowadays, but even then, it's nothing too crazy. And then on top of that, am I being a bit too harsh? I think she's actually pretty decent. Maybe the modifier is no additional actions. That's something that's also hitting me, right, more so than anything else. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Maybe B and A. I'll probably put her high B, low A. I'll say that, especially because she has Dragon Killer as well. Can come in handy in familiar rushes as always. So I'd probably put her in B to A. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh here. We have Royal Mage Reveria here now, and this unit, again, lowest stats, low fire magic attack, fire res down, and self fire attack damage 90%. Gives 60% per fire attack damage buff and fire attack damage buff minus 1 turn. Yeah, this is a solid B unit, maybe even C, to be honest. I think C. I don't like her at all. She's not that good. Yeah, I think I'd put her in C. C. Yeah, she's a C unit. Not that great. She doesn't do much. She removes her fire attack damage buff. It doesn't seem like it's a great unit, in all honesty. I think a C is a very solid place to be in. Alright, this Reveria is one of the latest units we've gotten. White Queen Reveria Leos Off. Now, I've been talking to some people actually, and a lot of people have actually said she's not that great, and she's actually just a waste of a slot, to be honest, which is very harsh, but I mean, I can see it as well. I mentioned it, like, her kit is interesting. It's very similar to Otarl, the Otarl that is Thunder and is able to do a lot of stuff, give himself P-res, M-res, remove, damage buffs. Very similar unit to that, but I feel like it's a little bit overall. I don't know if I would put her as low as C. No, definitely not as low as C, but I don't know if I should put her in B to A. I think B, high B, low A, another unit that just like that other Reveria we saw. Very much usable, but very much replaceable as well, in my opinion. I think that's the thing with this unit, I would say, is that she's usable but very replaceable as well. Probably a solid B to A, I would say. I don't like her at all. It doesn't seem like she's a great unit. That being said, she'll still have her spots. Though. She is a modern day unit. She's got the ability, she's got the stats to cope with it. So yeah, alright, we move. The next unit we have is this Tiona, which is another single target unit, and actually is also pretty decent. She gives herself magic and fire attack damage plus 65%, and then 3 actions of low fire magic attack. She then gives magic res and fire res down minus 35%, and then this is where it's very interesting, because a lot of her damage comes from Crimson Gash, which means she gives herself 120% fire attack damage per target's SCR and match buff skill. So the opponent's SCR and match buff skill, and then she removes this SCR and match buffs on the enemy. Which means if the opponent doesn't have their SCR and match buffs anymore, you're not using this skill and you're using Trailblazer instead, which isn't bad. But I think that overall, that kind of hurts her a little bit. It's one of the biggest issues with her, I feel, is like you can't get the maximum damage out of her. You know, she has the maximum damage, but you'll only get it like maybe 2 or 3 times per event, right? Or per record buster even, I should say, because in Familiar Rush, rarely do the opponents use STR and magic buffs, especially in a single target stage. Usually they debuff you, or they buff up their resistances and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say not that great, in all honesty. A solid B unit. Again, loved using her, but she had flaws that made it really hard to work with in terms of rotations and stuff. So I would say B is a very solid place to keep her at, in all honesty. Now we move on to the Filvis that I was talking about. This Filvis, along with the Lafia, insane combination, because she reduces the opponent's agility, magic res, and fire res. So effectively she does the opposite of the Lafia. The Lafia buffs your allies as magic, fire damage, and agility. The Filvis will reduce the opponent's agility, magic damage resistance, and fire resistance. It's insane how good she is. And she also has a chance to steal. Again, this is a unit, if given a buff, will be insane. But for now, I would probably put her in B alongside that Lafia, in all honesty. Both really fun units. Could be a menace to society in war games and stuff, provided they inevitably give them their buffs. And I hope they do. I really hope they do, because these units are so cool, and I really loved using them back in the day. Now, obviously, I can't really use them because they're dated. Now we move on to the bottom of the list. You guys can see it right here so that my face doesn't cover it. We have Aisha, Elfie, Elise, Vesta, and Ilya. So let's look at Aisha first. This Aisha, if I'm not mistaken, I think she's single target. No, she isn't single target. I lied. Alright, so her first skill is Super Fire Magic Attack and removes STR Magic and Dexterity debuffs on allies. Very nice. Allies STR Magic and Fire Attack damage plus 35% and 40% respectively. Interesting that she gives STR as well. Oh, that's it? Really? Oh, no. Oh, no additional actions, no nothing. C. I'd probably put her in C as well, just like the Riveria. Not good enough. Not good enough in the slightest. No. Sorry, Aisha. That was not great at all. That was not a great showing whatsoever. Now we look at Elfie next. Elfie, 1800 magic, 1000 agility. Avoids KO only when HP is 10% or more. STR magic and fire attack damage plus 25%. So kind of like an Artie protecting the team, right? Very, very solid there. 20% MP drain and 15% NP drain. No, not good enough. C. Very solid C, maybe even D, to be honest. I would probably put her in D as well. I mean, the thing is, she's just unusable. You wouldn't want to use her because the thing is, there are just so many better units. Maybe C, D is a bit too harsh though. D and C, I would probably put her D to C. You're not going to use her. Don't go for her at all. Now we have this Elise Lovell. Now, just like yesterday's video, I will say this. She is very likely to get a buff in January. In January, we're getting the rerun of the Australia Record event, and we know that they're planning on rerunning the gachas potentially as well. That means we're probably going to see buffs for these units. And she will probably get a lot of decent buffs and will probably jump up to being a very strong unit. She will increase the damage received on enemies by 30% for 4 turns, gives herself 3 additional actions, low fire. I expect that to be modified to mid. And then she gives herself magic and fire attack damage on her second skill, and it's a high fire skill. So again, her modifiers right now are low, but I do see this kid becoming so much stronger come January. But for now, probably in B. She's still usable. Her damage is pretty darn decent, and you'll use her in game modes like Familiar Rush and stuff like that when you're going up against the AoE stages. But outside of that, you're not using her in many spots. So a B is a very solid place. Now Vesta, I have to put her in S. She is one of the meta units in the game right now. She does so much here, right? She gives allies the ability to survive from a KO, and removes any agility, magic, STR, endurance, dexterity debuffs, and gives allies the STR, magic, and fire attack damage plus 35%. And then on her second skill, Sanctifying Festive Flare, she removes opponents' magic, agility, endurance, dexterity, and strength buffs, and gives additional actions and status buffs for 1 turn. A meta unit. This is probably the first clearly S rank unit, especially for war games. She's still usable even as the 4th anniversary unit. Insane. Such a strong unit. Very, very solid. You're gonna be using her in war games, especially on the right team, right compositions. She's insane. And I mean, if you look at war games, right? I mean, we can see it. She's up there. She's up there. She's in the top 10. I cannot not put her in the S rank. Oh, also Shadow of Ryu. That's the Ryu I was talking about earlier on when it came to agility debuffs and buffs as well. But yeah, I mean, top 10 easily. I mean, a lot of top ranking players are using her as well. I mean, you look at Emiya, right? Look at this team. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It just makes sense, right? And speaking of other units that are top ranked, I was hoping we could see it there, but we can check it out from here. We can check it out from here because I can literally just go over here. Unit popularity. This was the last unit we saw, and it is the Ilya right here in the top 25. This Ilya was the last magic unit we had on the list right here. 1200 agility, 2000 magic, and her abilities are ridiculous. Reduces a foe's agility by 35%, increases the damage they receive by 30% for 4 turns, ensures you're getting additional actions that do quite a lot here. Low fire magic attacks, so low modifier, but removes HP regen on foes, so kind of helps you against like stall teams, for example, because stall teams rely on HP regen as well, and removes penetration debuff rate debuffs on allies as well, so it comes in handy. For allies, fast removes god rate debuffs and damage received. Attack type all targets increases and P-res and M-res 35%. So again, you're basically ensuring the opponent is no longer able to stall and ensuring that you can start going on the offense, because then foes P-res and M-res minus 35% for 1 turn and removes god rate buffs and damage reduction buffs. Insane. This is a very strong unit and can be great counters to units like stall teams and stuff. That's the main thing. Of course, nowadays I feel like stall teams have become much stronger, especially with the addition of the latest Raoul that we've gotten from the gacha banner, right? But that doesn't change the fact that this Ilya is still phenomenal. I'd have to probably say, if we were to go back to the list and the album, right, another S rank unit. This fire magic unit is insanely strong. Honestly, so good. So yeah, I would probably say that the last 2 units in our list, Vesta and Ilya, S rank 100%. No way I can put them any lower than that. 100%. Very strong units, very usable, very you can use them in a lot of compositions as well. Very handy. So there you guys go. There's the tier list for all of the fire magical units. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, leave a comment down below, like I said, on what element you guys want to see next. Of course, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, one more thing, comment down below. Obviously, I haven't been able to implement it in the physical video or magic video because it not only takes time, it requires a lot of like work to be done. But if you guys want to see it in the next video, let me know if you guys want to see the actual tier list maker like screen as well at the end of the video particularly. It won't happen while the video is going on or while the video is recorded, but and what you're watching across the screen when we're looking at the skills and stuff. But at the end of the video, there will be a tier list maker like S rank, A rank, B rank, C rank, and stuff like that with the units all maybe not in order, but just in their tiers specifically. Let me know if you guys want to see that. It's greatly appreciated. As always, all your responses and the love you guys give. I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.